In this lesson, we're going to begin to discuss working with text and objects. If you'd like to follow along, go under your File menu and select Open. And in the Working Files folder, go into Chapter number 9 and select Anchoring Objects to the Flow of Text and just click Open. The whole concept of anchoring objects into text has been around since way before InDesign. It's a way of making objects of any kind part of your text flow. So, if the text changes, these objects will move with the text as the text gets longer or shorter. Let me show you. I'm going to get an insert point right before my first subhead and just hit Return or Enter and watch what happens with the picture below it. It moves with the flow of the text because it is actually anchored to the text. Let me undo that. I'm just going to hit Delete, and you can see the picture moved back up. This is a feature I use all the time in writing my InDesign and Illustrator tutorials because the pictures need to move with the flow of the text. The way objects were anchored in InDesign had been the same for quite a few versions. Let me show you how it was done. I'm going to select an object with my selection tool. I'm just going to click on this object that's already anchored, and I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to go to Edit, Cut, or Command X, Control X. And what that does is it deletes the picture at the same time it's copying it to the pasteboard. Now, to get it back into the text, I'm just going to get an insert point by double-clicking. To better see what's going on, though, I'm going to go to my Zoom tool. I'm going to click and drag across my first 3 major columns and let go. And now go back to my Type tool and just get an insert point someplace in my text. And I'm going to paste. I'm just going to hit Command-V on a Mac, Control-V on a PC. And what that's doing is actually pasting the picture right into the flow of the text. But it's not working the way I want it to. Let me just go to my selection tool and click on this picture. And you can see it does have an anchor on it, letting me know that it's anchored someplace in this text. But how do I make it work the way I want? It is an anchored object, so under the Object menu, I can go to Anchored Object, Options. By default, it's creating something called an inline graphic. So the object is actually anchored in the line that it was pasted into. I can also do something called an above line graphic. And you can see that's pretty much working. What it's doing is it's actually positioning the object right above the line it was pasted into. So it's getting close to working. I'm going to go in the Position pop-up to Custom. And you can see it throws it outside the frame and over towards the left. Not exactly what I want. Now, this is a very complex dialog box that's allowing you to position an object from a certain corner to an XY axis. It's like really complex. So I pretty much ignore it. And I don't check Prevent Manual Positioning and just click OK. So I've skipped all the steps of positioning the object in the actual dialog. And now what I'm going to do is position it anywhere I want. I'm just going to click on the picture with my selection tool and drag it down and kind of snap it to the guide right next to this caption. And you can see it's showing me that it's being anchored at the end of this paragraph to the lower right-hand corner of the object. So that's what you used to have to do. And it's a lot of steps. But in CS55, everything about the way anchored objects was created changed. Adobe had to make the process easier and faster because of EPUBs. when you export an InDesign document as an EPUB, the best way to position your images within the text is to actually anchor those images right into the text. So they found a much faster way of creating anchored objects. Let me show you. I'm going to go to this picture off on the side over here. And it's not anchored. And it's sitting right in the text with the text running around it. Now, I could just select this object and cut it and then paste it into the paragraph before, but instead, all I'm going to do is click on the little blue square and drag it to the paragraph above, and when I see a black insert point, I'm going to let go. I'm done. Well, actually, all I have to do is now just drag it down a little bit until it lines up the way I want. So that's a lot faster. It's really one step instead of quite a few. So now anchoring objects is amazingly simple. And for custom anchored objects, all you got to do is click on the blue square in the object that you have selected and just click and drag from the blue square to an insert point, and it's done. It's that simple. In the next lesson, we're going to continue discussing text with objects.